Thank you so much for taking the time to talk to us. First of all, welcome back to Aroostook County and to Presque Isle. You've been here before, and it's so excited to have you back again because you've authored a new book and you're sharing your insights with the general public in about a half hour. Tell us a little bit why you're here today and what's the purpose of your visit.
Sure. So Sean, I came up here back in 2022, I think was the first time, and I did a workshop for Aroostook, Leadership Aroostook, I think it was called, and part of that was the partnership, Aroostook Partnership. And I did a workshop with Profit from the Positive, my first book that I co-authored with Senya Myman, and they loved it. And they asked me to come up the next year, and I did another set of tools. There's 33 tools in that book, and today I'm going to focus on 3. And I did another one for Leadership Aroostook. And then I was introduced to Lee Ray Kinney, who runs this place and Ignite PI. And she asked me, would you come up and do a workshop for the entire community, have it open to anyone that wants to come? And I was like, of course. And I get to stay in this beautiful, renovated, historic hotel. It was like, yeah.
So tell us exactly what is the talk about?
Okay, so it's called Changing the Way We Think About Change. So we're all experiencing a tremendous amount of change, right? Which can produce a lot of anxiety for people.
Right.
And we used to think of change as something that we went through, like a beginning, a middle, and end, and now just get me through it and things will reset back to normal. Well, that's not how it is anymore. What we need to do is not so much change what's happening around us, but change how we respond to that change, how we think about that change. So that's the focus today.
And the perception and maybe looking at perhaps a change, not necessarily as a negative thing, but a transformative thing. Share that.
Yeah, absolutely. So lots of times people will view things in we call it negativity bias. I'm a positive psychologist, so I'm bringing the science of positive psychology to business and organizations. And so there's something called negativity bias that as human beings, we're hardwired to look for what's wrong. And actually, evolutionary psychologists believe it goes back to early humans and being able to survive on the planet. We have to be looking out for danger. And we still kind of have that mindset. And so when we see a change happening in our community or in our workplace, right away we look for, oh my God, what's wrong? What's going to happen to me? Am I going to have a job? Whatnot? Rather than seeing things as, wow, this could really be an opportunity for growth, an opportunity to do something else. So I'm going to share 3 tools that help people. It's one thing to talk about it. It's another to then say, well, then how do I shift my perspective? So I'll be sharing 3 tools around that.
How did you come to this realization?
Well, back in my 40s, I heard about this first ever master's program in what's called applied positive psychology down at the University of Pennsylvania. And I read the description and I said, oh my gosh, I have to do this. And I wasn't looking to go back to school or anything like that, but it just spoke to me. What's the science behind how people change? What's the science behind how do you motivate someone? And so that was a life-changing experience. I mean, I had 1 child in high school, 1 in college. I had an elderly father, my husband. I mean, going back to school was probably the last thing I should have done. But I just felt like my intuition told me I needed to do this. And that's where I met my co-author. It's just been life-changing. It's taken me around the world, sharing the tools from positive psychology.
So you're not just kind of spewing this off. This is something that you've lived. You've experienced. I mean, you've literally experienced this.
Absolutely. And one of the things I'll talk about today is there's something called PTG. So we're all familiar with PTSD, right? Post-traumatic stress disorder, and that's a real thing that people experience. However, only about 10% of the population, when they go through some kind of traumatic event, a job loss, a death, a diagnosis, a disease or something, losing a child, whatnot, divorce, only about 10% of people actually get PTSD. More often than not, but we don't study this until now. Now we're studying it as positive psychologists. PTG is post-traumatic growth. How through those experiences, we actually grow as people. And I use myself as an example. I lost my mother to suicide when I was 12 years old. My father was a single parent of 4 kids before that term was even coined.
Right.
And I wanted to figure out, it wasn't until later that I realized, I put it kind of all together. I'm like, wow, yeah, I studied this because I was curious about it, but how much did it impact? Why did I flourish? Why didn't I go down the path of, I could have become a really delinquent teen.
Right.
I could have, all sorts of bad things could have happened. And how come I didn't?
Right.
And so understanding some of those mechanisms at work. And I got to study, I was in the first class back in 2005. They're coming up on their 20th. Alumni. We're having a big event for 20 years.
Okay. Is it ever too late to kind of incorporate these ideas and turn your life around?
Never, Sean, never. Our brain is like a muscle. And just like you have other muscles in your body, our brain is like a muscle, and you can always grow it, make it stronger. But we need to kind of quiet those internal gremlins that we all have that kind of keep us small and keep us fearful, and learning how to kind of conquer those so that you really can live a full, flourishing life.
Wonderful. What's the name of the book, and also more information if we want to access and learn more about you?
So the book that I'm going to be talking about today is called Profit from the Positive. It's published by McGraw-Hill. It was published a dozen years ago, and it's still selling strong, and it's because positive psychology is just beginning to catch on now, and it's used in a lot of universities.